All right, welcome to the second hour of News Hour. There's so much to talk about in so little time. There's a lot of things happening in the country and beyond, and who better to put these things to perspective than Azimio leader Raila Odinga. The last time we spoke to him, we were right here. That was sometimes in February. There was a lot of things at that time. He had a lot of plans, and it's a good time to follow up right now. Thank you so much for joining us on KTN News.
Thank you, Ken.
So perhaps the best place to begin is one of the hottest debates that is happening in the country about Kenyan policemen going to Haiti. But before I ask you about that, when I came to your home in February, I was met by uniformed GSU officers by the gate. Today, the situation is different. I haven't seen them. I've only seen the civilian guards at your gate. Perhaps they are ununiformed. Was this part of the withdrawal of security that happened earlier on in the year? Did it also affect you?
Well, yes, certainly. Of course, you heard the deputy president saying that these officers were discretionary and that they were withdrawn and only returned after, I think, 3 months, but depending on good conduct of those who were involved. And that's what happened. They withdrew their security here, and they have not been returned. Actually, I've not bothered to even remind them or to complain. But as you know, that my security is actually in the Act.
Yeah.
Is in the Act, is provided for by law. There's no discretionary to the government or to the presidency. They are there because of my duties as a prime minister. This country, I'm entitled to retirement benefits, and the security is part of it.
Okay.
So. But I will not bother to request them.
But it's not discretional for the government to assign security to a former prime minister. I mean, you have served in one of the highest positions in this country, and you were saying you will not even bother to ask? I mean, this is an illegality ab initio. It's an illegality. And you're just sitting and not asking them why you're not restoring? What if something happens? Who takes that responsibility?
Ken, I mean, why do you ask them? They know they're the ones who took them away. I mean, why do you ask? If they want to return them, they will return them. But actually you're suggesting I should go begging that return this security. They have their reasons why they remove them. And if those reasons are no longer existing, then you return them. I wouldn't even waste my time going to courts.
Okay.
Because I know that courts are themselves compromised.
Do you care about your security?
I care about my security. And I believe that there's somebody up there who looks after me. So I'm not bothered. But my biggest security are the people. The people are my biggest security.
Okay.
And that's why I can go around walking in the streets without much problem.
Let me flip the coin. One of the reasons that they gave for withdrawing security, not only yours, but across for leaders from Azimio, was that the security was being misused in their time, especially for the Mandamano. So they needed to take this security to guard people's property. If I flip the coin, do you think they had a point that you're using state-given security to protect you during Mandamano?
No, they have no point, because these are security which are assigned to me, and they're only actually protecting me. But as you remember, in that period, there were attempts at my life. They shot at me, several times. But this security, of course, were in different vehicles. But all that they wanted was to have me as just a sitting target so that they could get me. And these people were removed, they were taken back. To my knowledge, I know that they are not doing anything. They are just there in the camps. They are waiting to be told to come back.
Okay.
Yes.
Haiti, the president has decided to deploy our policemen to Haiti. As someone who is vast with geopolitics and global politics, is this the right move? It's a debate that is going on social media. I mean, there's so many quarters that have also castigated that move to take policemen, Kenyan policemen, to fight gangs in Haiti to try and restore order. I mean, there are countries that are near Haiti more than Kenya, but we're doing it. From where you sit, is it the right move to make?
I don't think so. The question we ask is, why Kenya? What is so unique about Kenya that Kenya can be identified out of 54 countries on the continent of Africa? But before you even come to Africa, you see Haiti is at the doorsteps of the United States, which is the most powerful nation in the world. And there are several other islands around Haiti, because on the other half of the island is the Dominican Republic. I have been to the Dominican Republic. I've overflown Haiti. Jamaica, just next door. There are several Bahamas, several other Caribbean islands around there. Then there's a South American continent. There's Venezuela. There's Colombia. There's Brazil. There's several other countries, including Argentina, on the South American continent. Canada is the other side. If you now leave the Americas, then you come into Africa. Facing the Americas, that side, West Africa, there is Senegal, there's Guinea, there's Nigeria, Ghana, Liberia, Morocco. Before you come, and you come all the way to eastern part of Africa. And you ask yourself, what is it that is unique that Kenya is being chosen to lead a multinational force in Haiti? But if you are conversant with the Haitian problem, it is not a problem that began yesterday. It has been a long history. And the United States has been very much involved in this. Remember, when we were students, there was a period of what they called the Papadoc de Valier, who had his security force called Tom Makut, who would come and hijack people from their homes and go and mutilate their bodies. When he died, then his son took over, Baby Doc. That was later in the year. And then there have been histories of coups and counter-coups and assassinations and so on. There have been invasions of Haiti. Remember, the French were invaded. The French were defeated in the history of Haiti, the period of Mr. Toussaint. That's when Haiti gained its independence. From that time, Haiti has gone through a very, very painful existence among Haitians. There's not seen peace up to now. The people of Haiti are of African descent, and they have retained their Africanness, including even the religion. They have retained it the way they came from Africa. And they're very proud people to be Africans. I think they have not just been allowed because of external interference to find their solution. I think that Haitians should be encouraged to find a homegrown solution so that you can have a sustainable democracy in Haiti. So the Haitian issue does not need more guns. You need to have just a conference to get Haitians together and create a condition for healing, you see, of the wounds which have been inflicted, so a new nation can emerge in Haiti. Yes.
So it's a wrong idea completely. Yeah. Right. Let me come to an idea that has been seconded here, and it's perhaps taking its own course. I know the submission of public views have taken place. They're supposed to retreat right now. I'm talking about the bipartisan talks. From where you sit as the Azimio leader with your team on the ground, led by Kalonzo Musyoka and Jeremiah Kioni on the other side, and of course Kimani Ichung'wah, are you confident that this process finally would yield something that is lasting, that will give us a lasting solution as Kenyans, because of what happens every election cycle? Because even this process was born out of some issues that were unresolved and still remain outstanding.
Yeah, from where I sit, so I think that these talks have the potential of coming up with fundamental solutions to the problems. But it depends on environment and the attitude taken by both sides. From our side, we said we will give them the benefit of doubt,
okay,
and give them the full support that it deserves to succeed. That's why we called for cessation of demonstrations, so that a conducive environment could be created for these talks to take place. That is the main reason why I have remained silent over the period, lest I be misconstrued to appear to be undermining these talks. Secondly, it's good that they widened the scope and allowed for presentation of views by a wide range of Kenyans. And I know that the Kenyans who have appeared before this team have spoken and presented memoranda and petitions which contain substantive materials that, if properly analyzed and discussed, a solution could emerge. I myself would suggest that we don't become restrictive as to the scope of what this team can do. And my advice would be that they don't just confine themselves to the issues that we identified initially, the first 5, but address the issues which have emerged in the course of those presentations. Okay? Because, you know, we have postponed the issue of reviewing our constitution. You know, we passed this constitution in 2010. Now it's 13 years. Most countries usually do it after 5 years.
They look at it.
They look at it. You remember the U.S. Constitution was amended within the first year, and even the French. But see, I think 10 years is enough when you're wearing a shoe to know where the shoe is pinching.
Yeah.
As we were going, as we were negotiating, I remember, I'm the one who actually initiated the constitutional review process by moving a motion in Parliament in 1999 to set up a parliamentary select committee on the constitutional review. And when it was passed, I became the chairman of the Parliamentary Select Committee on the Constitution. And we started by receiving views from people from the country. And we were meeting at the county hall, which eventually became too small. That's how we moved to Bomas of Kenya. And out of it, we set up the first Constitutional Review Commission. We are the ones who appointed Professor Yashpal Gai. We looked for him. I went to London to the Commonwealth and requested for an expert to chair it, because we wanted somebody who was not resident in Kenya. And the Commonwealth Secretariat told me that actually the best expert we have is a Kenyan, Professor Yashpal Gai, who at that time was in Hong Kong. And when I got him, and he agreed to come to chair, I talked to Moi. Moi agreed. And so I appointed Yashpal Gai as the chair. And we interviewed and appointed 15 members. Then the other team, which had bolted and went to Fungamano, came to Guy negotiated with them, and we agreed that they join, and they brought 12 members, so it became 27 members. That is how the Constitution Review process started.
Okay.
And we got views, and Bomas 1 was done. There was a stalemate over issues of devolution and then issues of executive. And that's why we ended up with oranges and bananas. And after that, the referendum fiasco, and we went to the elections divided, 2007. You know the outcome. After that, the Kriegler, and Waki, we ended up the 2010 Constitution, which was a compromise. Like the structure of devolution we have today was basically a compromise.
Okay.
You remember the region of Bomas, we had 14 regions as the devolved units. This one which we are having was imposed as a compromise. I don't think it is a perfect one. I think we need them bigger. If we had gone for colonial districts
as counties,
it would be more, because they're too small. And somebody talking about dissecting them further.
Right now.
It's just trying to basically destroy devolution.
Gidu also is, Professor Gidu Muigai is also proposing that they be cut down further. So it's a whole stretch. But when I hear you rightly, you are actually saying there's need to relook at the Constitution. Is that review the Constitution? Is that what you're saying?
This is, and that is actually the substance of most submissions which went before this team, if I'm not wrong. They're all touching on looking at this. You see, like we were talking about position of a chief cabinet secretary.
In the Constitution.
What is that? You're just going to create a mongrel.
Changing the structure of the
just
executive.
Agree. Are you having a pure presidential system or are you having a hybrid? Okay? Just address the elephant in the room.
Instead of going round.
Go around. Call a spade a spade. This is an animal, because what you're trying to create is an animal that does not exist anywhere.
Do they have capacity? Thinking about that, this team that is at Bomas right now, do they have the capacity to do what you're doing? Because you've given us that history of Yashpal Gai, and we know his standing not only in the local society but even outside. Does this team have that capacity to relook and present something that is workable, in your opinion? Does it have that capacity?
I mean, why not? Let them bring it out there.
Okay.
And then we look at what is practical and feasible, because most of it has actually been discussed extensively.
Okay.
Maybe we discussed it extensively during the BBI. BBI was only stopped because they said the president had initiated it.
Yeah.
You see, not the substance of what is there in the BBI. Okay?
That's why we call it BBI Season 2.
Season 2.
Yeah.
So just look at the proposal there. Be bold enough and say, instead of talking about chief cabinet secretary, call it a prime minister.
Prime minister and put it there. Yeah.
Put it there. And let him be a member of parliament. If he has not been elected, let him be an ex-official member of parliament. And then allow it that for now you can have a transition that you have non-MPs as members of parliament, as ministers, but in the future have some ministers who are members of parliament and have some who are professionals who come from outside, but then they become ex-official members of parliament. See, this
like
idea
constitution,
of being ministers to answer question in parliament from outside, it doesn't work.
One of the issues that was contentious, because this was a compromise from the other side, Kenya Kwanza side, is it really true that you never wanted the issue of cost of living as one of the agendas?
That is why were we on the streets? We were on the streets because of cost of living.
Plus a host of other things.
Other things.
Yes.
So, but the top on the agenda was the cost of living. That was ours first. That we wanted the cost of living to be there. Then secondly, we wanted electoral justice to be there. Third, we wanted strengthening multi-party democracy. This non-interference with the political parties to be there. Okay? Then we wanted this other constitutional amendment.
Okay.
See, but that's our core issue.
Fundamental number one.
Cost of living.
Yeah. Incidentally, they said Raila Odinga expressly left this out.
No, that's not true.
Okay.
Why did you leave it out? None of them was available when we were talking. We were only three in the room. There was Obasanjo, Ruto, and myself.
So this meeting really happened between yourself, Obasanjo, and Ruto in the same room?
The same room.
It happened?
Yes. Obasanjo was sitting there, was sitting in the middle, was here, Ruto was there, and I was here. In one room. Yes. So it took place not in State House, but in some other premises.
Was it in Mombasa?
It was in Mombasa.
Okay.
I flew in the evening and I flew back in the morning and met with my team here by midday.
Okay. UDA Secretary General Cleophas Malala yesterday said that there will be no issue of auditing the 2022 elections on the table for UDA. That is one of the fundamentals you had.
That is a busybody, Mr. Malala. Would say that is a hot air. The constitution, the law requires audit of the results. It's not just something picked from out of the air. It is there. That is must be verifiable and accountable and auditable. So it is not just that we are demanding it, but it is there in law. The law is going to provide for it. Because if you're saying that there are issues with what happened, and you want to basically rectify so that you don't have a repeat in the next elections, how can you do it without having the results audited?
Is that the aim? Because I'm getting a different picture. Is that the aim of asking for the audit? Because it looks like the aim of asking for the audit is to prove that the results that were declared are not the results that should have come out. Is that the aim? What is the aim? Because what I'm hearing is so that there's no repeat in the next election. But it looks more of this election was not declared in the right way. So let's see what's inside there. That's how it sounds like.
No. What you want to do was the election, the process that was used. Did it meet the requirements or the standards set by the Constitution and the law? You see? Was it transparent? Was it verifiable? Was it accountable? Okay? This is what is said there by the law. Like if you see, they tell you that the Supreme Court pronounced itself. But you remember at the Supreme Court, our lawyers were demanding on the times that we have not been given access to the server. Access to the server. And then the Smartmatic, the company that was hired to provide the system, SCD, wrote to say that to open access to the server will infringe on their proprietary rights. You see, how do you provide a service to elections, and if there's a dispute, people cannot verify, cannot have access to it? You see, how, under what law is that? So the Supreme Court made a ruling without the server being audited. You see, so you're being told the Supreme Court already pronounced itself, therefore...
It's a settled matter.
We are not ourselves challenging the ruling of the Supreme Court.
Okay.
We said we didn't agree with it, but we're not challenging it. But we're now talking about now coming elections. So that's why we want to see what happened.
Okay.
So if everything was right, what is there to fear?
Okay.
Why does somebody fear the server?
The skeletons that could be inside that closet is the reason for the fear.
Yeah, but they're running around shouting all over the country, we want this a perennial loser, and why do you fear? Why do you fear? If those are the results which are there in the server, fine, everybody accepts.
Okay.
But we're not saying that route is not going to, should be removed. But we want to just have the truth so that in next elections, people go to the elections confident.
Okay. Is that a subtle recognition of Ruto's presidency from you? By saying, you're not saying Ruto should be removed. Is that a subtle recognition? Because I am yet to hear any top Azimio leader acknowledging and recognizing Ruto as the president.
We will not recognize him. We said, depending on the conclusion of these talks, satisfactory conclusion, we will recognize him. If these talks are concluded satisfactorily. Okay?
In your view, in your opinion, if they be satisfactory, or in whose opinion satisfactory, where will this measure be? Who will be measuring if it's satisfied or who's satisfied?
I mean, of course, you know my position, because I know the facts, where they are, and I don't even blame Ruto. I know the forces who are involved in this process. They are subterranean forces, and they have got much more international implications. Okay. So I don't blame Ruto. And I know that those who it was in their interest to do what they did. And so it is a much more complicated issue. Okay?
It's a much more complicated issue than it is. While you are silent and waiting for the outcome of these talks, the other side has been speaking, and they have even poured water on the process and said there'll be no outcome of this. For example, the deputy president himself, we've had Dindi Nyoro and some other people saying these talks, there'll be nothing. There's even a leader who once stood at the platform and said he knows the way these talks will eventually turn out to be. So you are waiting for something that looks like has a predictable, predetermined outcome to be satisfactory from where you're sitting?
You ask me, it is a tragedy that this country should have somebody of the caliber of Mr. Gachagua as a deputy president. Mr. Gachagua should not even be head of a chicken pen because of his conduct, the way he behaves, and the way he talks. He talks with so much contempt to the rest of the country. It's as if he's a deputy president for Mount Kenya only. Other parts of the country do not exist in as far as he's concerned. When he talks to me as we and you, meaning my people and his people, and yet he's supposed to be the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya, and even has the impudence to go and say that Kenya is a corporation or a shareholders company, that there are some communities with more shares, others with fewer shares,
others with no shares,
yes, at all. That those ones with no shares have nothing to expect from our government. You see? He forgets that the same government which he runs collects taxes from all over the country on a daily basis. And then he tells them, you are not shareholders. So what are they doing in Kenya? So when we talk of self-determination, there's good reason. Even the Gachagua is not censored. And I've asked Mr. Ruto publicly to censor his deputy because, you know, it is an insult to the country. If he now, for example, goes with him to Western Kenya, to the coast, to Nyanza, when he does not recognize those people as shareholders in the country, okay? And you remember, Mr. Gachagua had a criminal case which has been removed just like some of those others. He's the one who is now talking about corruption, okay? So this government cannot fight corruption. It is itself a product of corruption.
Okay, I'd like to talk about corruption extensively, but let me ask the last question on this dialogue. At the outset of President Ruto's reign, he said that niacheni huyo Raila, I will corner him. Have you been cornered by Ruto finally?
How has Ruto...
He's made you to go silent. You were silent. Kenyans are asking, where is Baba? Why is he not speaking?
No, I mean, Ruto has no capacity to silence me. He has no capacity. He's living in an illusion. I have no fear of Mr. Ruto at all because my power does not come from myself. My power comes from the people. If he wants to silence me, let him go and silence the people first.
Okay.
But I talk when it needs for me to talk. For now, it has been necessary for me to be silent because we started this process of negotiations. And I felt that if I speak, I may jeopardize the outcome of the talks.
Okay.
So, and that's the only reason why I've kept away.
Okay. Ultimately, in every battle, there are people who pay the price, and some of your supporters paid the price during Maandamano. You think where we are currently, there's justification to what happened during Maandamano, the people who lost their lives and all, because at the end of the day, the drums have gone quiet and there's silent negotiations at Bomas of Kenya.
Yeah, no, we said that the time had come after this plea by our international friends that we should embrace negotiations, dialogue. We didn't want to appear as if we are mattresses or people who just want demonstration for the sake of it. We said that demonstrations were a means to an end. And if we can solve these issues which were contentious through negotiations, let's give negotiations a chance.
Okay.
That's why we agreed to halt demonstrations. It was not because of the police brutality at all, but it is because we felt that we could achieve the same result by talking.
Okay.
And they themselves, that's also what brought them to the table. So we hope that something positive will come out of these talks. If there does not, of course, we will review, and we want our people to know that their sufferings are not in vain.
Okay.
They're the ones who have brought these talks.
Mm-hmm.
And we hope that we can resolve some of the issues. We have put, as you know, our position on the cost of living.
Yeah.
We've made very concrete proposals of measures to be undertaken by the government. We have talked about the issue of electoral justice very openly there. We've discussed the issue of strengthening multi-party democracy.
Okay.
We've talked about the issue of inclusivity. You see, inclusivity has been a major issue because of this shareholding thing, that people who come from regions where Azimio is strong have been excluded from public service. Some of them are being sacked, very many of them have been sacked from senior positions in the civil service. When the recruitment is being done, it's very skewed in favor of some communities. And then in parastatals, the appointments in the senior positions, people have been sacked. So there are a few they appointed into positions as members of boards or chairmen, which meets once every 3 months, and you're paid 20,000 shillings a sitting allowance. But the big positions go to particular, the many shareholding communities in Kenya Kwanza.
Okay. So on that, if I would say that you, because you said it's Maandamano that brought them to the table, you used Maandamano to get to sit and talk with Kenya Kwanza side. Would that be true? If I would say you used the Maandamano to bring them to the table?
No, what we're saying, we had issues which we were addressing during the Maandamano, and people agreed with us. Mm-hmm. And we were demanding this and that should be done. We were demanding the issue of cost of living. We were demanding the issue of electoral justice. Mm-hmm. We were demanding the issue of non-interference with political parties and so on. And they agreed that we can sit down and discuss these issues.
Okay. Let's now go to the cost of living. We are worse off than we were, or Kenya is worse off than it was pre-Maandamano and during Maandamano. I mean, when the drums went silent right now is when the cost of living looks like it's blowing the roof. So it's not really achieved what you were agitating for at that time.
Because the talks are not yet over.
You believe the talks can bring down the cost of living eventually?
Let's wait and see.
Okay.
But what I'm trying to say is the Kenya Kwanza administration has got its priorities very wrong.
Okay.
First, they raised the hopes of people too high during the campaigns. And I think they felt that the Kenyans are gullible. Once we have taken power, nobody will question. Mm-hmm. And so they didn't realize that we live now in a completely different era where people remember. Like when you look at TikTok or the other social media postings, you can see them talking before the elections, and now the language they're using right now, that they have forgotten what they said. You know, they were in government, but then they were spreading propaganda that there was a handshake government, that I was in government.
Yeah. You are responsible for the current state of affairs.
This is what they're talking about, which is basically cheap and stupid propaganda. I mean, what position did I occupy in the government? What ministerial position did I or any of my members occupy in government? Or diplomatic positions, or in parastatals? Nowhere. It is Ruto who was the deputy president. Most of his ministers now are with him in government. The permanent secretaries appointed were with him in government. People he had put in parastatals were all with him that time. Yet he is complaining of Uhuru. Now Uhuru is out of government for 1 year. Uhuru reduced VAT on fuel from 16 to 8%. There's a lot of pressure. He has taken it back to 16%. You see, all the things he was opposing, he has now imposed himself on the people. Yet he was at that time attacking Uhuru for doing ABCD or for not doing ABCD. He was saying that the cost of fuel was cheaper in Uganda than in Kenya. Yet fuel was coming from Kenya. The case is still true today, and ask him why. So the lies that you're peddling is coming home to haunt them. Now, we have given them as a Virumio what we think is a blueprint of how to change things.
And bring down the cost of living.
And bring down the cost of living.
Okay.
If they buy it, fine. If they don't buy it, we will review with our people. Yes.
Kenyans, they say that with Kenyans, they are able to adjust. Right now, they have had adjusted to the highest fuel price in the last probably few years. The other day I was in town, and for the first time over lunch break, parking slots were empty, which means people are not driving to work. Do you think politicians prey too much on Kenyans and their vulnerability and their need just to move on with life? Because a lot of people are fighting just to get by now. Do you think that's where this problem lies? Because we'll take what we are given.
I think, you see, there's what you call pent-up anger. Kenyans are not happy. They're doing what they're doing out of necessity. You see, for example, you see, you don't have the traffic jams that you used to have now in town. People are doing what we told them to do. They're pulling. They're sharing vehicles so that they consume less fuel. And the statistics now show that, in fact, the fuel consumption has gone down. As a result, the revenue that they hoped to raise by increasing the price of fuel is not coming. It's not coming. People are now consuming less instead. So some Kenyans are also going without food because they can't afford over lunchtime. So the restaurants are also not making as good business as they were making at the other time. So the private sector is affected. Even the steel consumption has gone down. So you're having what you call an effect, a bigger effect on the economy than would have been the case if they had not come up with these very high taxes.
Okay.
So like now, most people will tell you that the take home is just 30% of the gross. 70% is going into taxes. So most Kenyans are really in die-hard streets.
Okay. They're saying take the salary, give us the taxes. Because it's better to have the taxes. Let's talk about corruption. You said this government is a product of corruption. They cannot fight corruption. That's what you said.
Yes. First, you know that a number of people with pending corruption cases whose cases have been dropped and put into high positions in this government. Okay? That's one. And then now you've seen how they've been running the government. And I just give you an example. One of this KNTC, Kenya National Trading Corporation. It was a corporation that was there, formed in the 60s by the then government when they were talking about Africanization, to enable Africans to get involved in the commercial enterprises. It was the one that was used during the quick notice when the Asians who were not citizens of the country were given an option either to take Kenyan citizenship or to take the British citizenship, but move out of retail businesses. So KNTC was the corporation from which people were getting loans to purchase the businesses of the outgoing Asians.
Okay.
Now, since that time, it's been dormant, but then they revived it, saying that they wanted to use it to empower people to or to import certain commodities to lower the cost of living. But what has been happening is that KNTC has not been importing anything. These people, as close people to the government, are the ones who are being given licenses by KNTC to open letters of credit and to import commodities. And from February this year, they imported large quantities. They imported maize, they imported wheat, imported rice, sugar, and cooking oil. And then these commodities are coming duty-free at the port of Mombasa. But then they're going to the companies operated by the well-connected people. And then, but now they're being dumped into the local market to compete with the ones which are manufactured here. This has actually created problems for the local manufacturers. A company like Bidco and others doing the cooking oil have actually laid off over 2,000 people because they cannot compete with this refined oil coming from Dubai into the markets here. And we know people who are involved. We have invoices showing you that sugar manufactured in Sony is cheaper than sugar which is being imported by these people into the country, and so on and so forth. So they've been making a killing in this. These are people who are associated with the system.
Okay.
You see, the real estate homes are being bought, like here in Karen. You know, one person, the government buys 7 buildings in an estate under construction and pays cash. So there's a lot of what you call primitive accumulation of wealth, which is going on into this regime, which we know of. And we also know those who are involved. The driving engines, and you have to be who is who to benefit.
Are you going at some point to name these names and put them on the spotlight? The people who are involved in these corruptions in the country.
Yes, I mean they're known, and of course a time will come. I think that something will be done. But what I was trying to say is there's corruption in this regime. They are accusing the previous regime of corruption. Not that I'm defending the previous regime at all, but this corruption is come back to a level that is only comparable to the Nyayo era. Yes.
Okay. I want to talk about two more issues. I want to talk about one of the issues that you took before the dialogue team, that's strengthening multi-party democracy. But before I talk about that, from where you sit, it's been 1 year. You could have been sitting here as president because this is your home, but you're not sitting there as president. But I'm more concerned with the people who worked with you closely, who have since left and decamped. So before I talk about members of parliament, your staunch allies who campaigned for you, who are now on the other side and rooting for the president, do you, and even your very close allies and even aides, people who worked close with you, do you feel betrayed sometimes when you sit in your house and look at them, watch them on television, feel this is not right?
No, not at all. I mean, people are free. There are people who do it out of necessity. They are looking for opportunities. They are trying to survive. They're looking for maybe a job to do, contracts to perform, and so on. So I sympathize with some of them. I have no issues at all with them at all.
Okay. I'd like to pick one because it's been in the media in the last 1 week. And this is one of the people who worked with you since you were Prime Minister. He told the media the other day in an interview, he said that it's time for Raila Odinga, not his words, but sort of it's time for Raila Odinga to move aside to let Kenya move on. Is that something that you think it's time that Raila Odinga, who he's worked with, will move aside and just let Kenya move on?
I don't know whom you are talking about, if you're specific.
This was Silas Chakakimba. Yes, who worked with you very closely until the last minute.
Silas alone. Silas is like that. He's been on and off. Whenever we are out in problems, he's the other side. When things change, he comes and apologizes. We welcome him back. So those are opportunists. And there are so many. He's not the only one. But
you asked me to be specific, and because this is happening in the last 1 week or so, that's why I was specific with this.
It's like my son is, you can call him a prodigal son. You want like that, later on he'll come and apologize. The other time, he picked an issue with my daughter.
Yes.
And people are thinking that my daughter was the one who is in a problem. I said, no, he's looking for an excuse to jump over to the other side.
and it didn't take long.
It didn't take long. Yeah.
Okay. So the other one is Felix Oduor Jalango, which I want to talk about strengthening, because one of the things you have done this time round is even expelled members of Parliament from ODM, and I know this is something that you did previously when you left a party, you went back to the people. They have gone to court and the court has halted this process. But I'm looking at the recent history, apart from voluntary movement like yours, it's very hard to remove them. So Felix has also said that he has no problem with Baba. He's just there looking for development.
You see, first, it was wrong to say that ODM was expelled. Remember, we did not expel any member.
Okay.
We just read the law and see that they are deemed to have resigned from the party. There's a clause in the party's in the Political Act, the one that we quoted.
Yeah.
You see, if you are a member of another political party and you associate yourself with another political party, in activities of that political party which are contrary to the interests of the party that sponsored you, then you're deemed to have resigned. Because there's one which you have resigned yourself and joined the other party.
Yeah.
The other one, you're saying you are cooperating with that other party. Your party is in the opposition, you're cooperating with the party which is in government. then you are deemed to have resigned from your party. You don't have to announce or write a letter of resignation. That's what we quoted.
Yeah.
We were still going to move to political parties tribunal, and then go to register political parties, then to political party tribunal, and then to the court. But they jumped there, and the court. That just shows you how biased the courts are. Because
the court, actually, the law demands that you go before the tribunal before you go to court, because that's the final resort.
Yes.
But they've gone to court. So, in your quest, are you really determined to remove them, or to let them go because they're supporting and promoting activities of the other political parties, or what you're trying to do is to contain the member discipline within the political parties?
We said that they had due to have resigned.
Yeah.
Because some of them are very contemptuous. We have got a disciplinary committee which asked to institute disciplinary action against them. And therefore, they were written to and invited to appear before the committee. Some of them did not appear. There are those who appeared and were remorseful and explained. I think two members. And we did not find that they have resigned. They were just given a fine to pay.
Yes.
And your good conduct. But I think there were 3 members. Then, but these are the ones who were contemptuous of the disciplinary committee, did not even appear themselves before the committee to explain themselves satisfactorily. So the committee is the one that made the recommendation to the National Executive Committee. And the National Executive Committee just said that they are deemed to have resigned. And that's what's now going to be taken to the Governing Council. So the process was not even over. And then they go to courts, and the courts, without even inviting us to appear and state our side of the story, the courts make a ruling. So this speaks volumes about our judiciary. I've been saying it, and I will say it again, that our judiciary is very compromised. Yeah.
Okay. We're running out of time, but I have to ask you this. There have been issues that have been brought to the media, and we are media, and we write about this, that Raila Odinga is actually thinking of 2027. But before I ask you that, with the movement that I've been talking about, especially with the party discipline and all, you say your base is not Luo Nyanza, but it's your biggest support base. Do you think your base generally as Raila Odinga is shrinking, and increasingly you're finding yourself with lesser and lesser people?
I don't even know why you're asking such a question. I lead one of the biggest political parties in the country. Because I told you about ODA, which had not even held elections. It was just a collection of group of people making noise. People were voted because of euphoria. But ODM has got proper base, and is a party with branches all over the country, and the party that has got proper leadership structure from the polling station to the national. And we're running ODM in a very professional way. We have been having problems. The government wants to undermine multi-party democracy. Because as things stand right now, see, there's a political parties fund.
Yes.
Which is supposed to help political parties to fund their activities in the country. It's supposed to be 0.3% of the last audited accounts. You see? But this government, since it came to power, has not been remitting. It has reduced it to just a fraction of what it should be giving.
Okay.
And even that we are having a problem as Azimio. For example, the money to be paid is supposed to be divided in accordance with the votes obtained by political parties. Azimio, had several political parties, but then the competent parties had also their candidates. I was the presidential candidate for Azimio coalition.
Yes.
But Azimio did not have candidates for parliamentary and MCA and gubernatorial. But then, now what's happening is that UDA went to the tribunal, first wrote to the registrar, political parties, saying that since Azimio did not have parliamentary candidates, Azimio should not be paid money on the basis of the presidential candidate's votes. You see? Which now they refused, and they stopped the registrar. No, I mean, and we went to the tribunal. The tribunal dismissed their case. They went to the High Court. High Court also dismissed the case. Now they are in the Court of Appeal. In the meantime, they've instructed the Treasury
not to pay.
So
yes.
They are crippling our functions. We are not able to pay offices, rent all over the country. We've got branch offices all over the country.
Yeah.
We've got staff in those offices. Not getting money out of that. This is now, since they came to government, up to now, we are now in October. So they are trying to basically destroy the political parties. And what they're paying is also very little of the fractions of those other ones which they say they're entitled to.
Yeah.
But having said that, I want to say that our party has a wide base, and we've announced that we are going to have elections as ODM from February next year.
Yeah.
From the grassroots all the way up to the national. We will then have the national elections. When the other ones heard that we were going to do our election in February, then they brought theirs forward to this year, December. But that is, my view, of a good competition. Now, other competent members of Azimio are also going to have the elections.
Okay.
But we are having issues with Jubilee because the Kenya Kwanza are claiming Jubilee. They're saying that they are the ones who formed Jubilee and that they had a problem, that's why they left, that's why they want to take Jubilee to Kenya Kwanza. But I've told them, look, you guys moved from Jubilee and formed UDA. You cannot again come and claim Jubilee.
What you left, yes.
If you got that argument, then I myself will go and claim Ford Kenya. Because by the time we were forming Ford Kenya, Wetangula was in Kanu. Okay? I would be entitled to go and claim Ford Kenya. But I cannot, because we left Ford Kenya and we formed
Another party.
ODM.
Okay.
Now, in terms of basis, all over the world, political parties do not have equal strength across the whole country. If you go to the United States, you always see when there are elections, there are states which are blue, there are states which are red. You go to UK, it's likewise. Some will be blue, some will be red, some will be yellow, meaning the liberals, the Lib Dems, and so on. So like here in the country, there are areas where UDA is strong. The areas where ODM is strong. But ODM has support across the country.
Okay.
Across the country, you see, you find like in Nairobi here, ODM is the strongest party. Okay. If you go to Machakos, Wiper is a stronger party.
Okay.
You go to Mombasa, ODM is a stronger party. You go to maybe Muranga, UDA, or you go to Washington Gishu, or Nandi and so on and so forth. So that is how it is.
Yeah.
But I maintain that ODM is still the strongest and most organized political party in the country.
Okay. We're running out of time, but I really wanted to ask you about President Ruto's forays in Nyanza, because I talked about your backyard. Perhaps I should ask you that now that the president is heading back to Nyanza, I think since the election, this could be the third or the fourth time he's heading into Nyanza for development projects. But most of the time, these development tours are also laced with a lot of politics. These moves and what we saw happen in Western Kenya, is it also, in your opinion, an attempt by the president to galvanize these traditional bases that have been behind Raila Odinga for a long time, behind him?
Of course, Mr. Ruto is entitled to travel all over the country and visit and open development projects funded by the national government. That is his responsibility. And what we have issue with is when he moves around to try to also sell his older party at the same time, because then that amounts to campaigning. And if he's campaigning, then we are also entitled to campaign. Okay. But I'm saying that if it proceeds on that, then it will bring the country into a campaign mood. You see, and if you bring the country into a campaign mood, then very little development will take place. You see, he is trying to do what he did when he was a deputy president, where Uhuru said he was tangering around the country, campaigning when Uhuru himself was working for development. I don't think that it is right to keep the country in a campaign mood for 5 years. I think that the priority is wrong. My view is, and he is now in Nyanza. When he comes from Nyanza, he will be going to the Rift Valley, then he will be going to the coast, he will be going to Mount Kenya, he's going to Western. When things he said he was doing had not been done, nothing has started. He's just in the constant mood, tangering around the country. Instead of sitting down and doing some constructive work. See, we worked with Kibaki, and just genuine development took place in this country. Sitting up and planning and making state organs do the implementation and work. And you see concrete results. It will not be, you cannot supervise the whole country. The moment you left this area, people are down the tools. So what is important is putting proper working structures.
Okay.
That is what will actually deliver results. Not running around, politicking around, calling people names, sloganeering, and so on and so forth. To me, this is hot air.
Okay.
It will come to nothing. If you ask, for example, Nyanza is going to Siaya.
Yes.
To open a hostel which was built by the county government in Ugenya. That the local MP is a member of the finance committee, and they put some money in the budget for some expansion work. It's going to game supposedly to open an ICT hub and an order office. It's going to Bondo. It's supposed to launch a road, which already had been, the contractor was on site, and under Huru, it was removed because of non-payment. Then it's going to Rarieda, where his Minister for ICT comes from, to open an ICT hub. Then that's all. And in Homa Bay,
Migori,
it's going to the Paya, Kindu Bay, Homa Bay, Beta, the causeway, which is now being turned to a bridge. And then it's going to launch a ring road around Single Island. That's the only new project, because there's the road in Beta to Sindo to Magunga.
Yeah.
I'm the one who designed it, and the contractor was already on site. It just moved out because of non-payment. That's going to launch that road now. Then in Migori is where the tangible project in Korea, Korea East and Korea West, affordable housing scheme. But the rest of the Migori, there's nothing.
Okay.
That is doing. And then you will have talked, and you've got a group of political rejects, those who are candidates and left, have been appointed to some useless parastatals as chairman, members of the board, and shouting, "Uda, Uda." To me, it's a waste of time.
Okay.
But it's fine.
He has to do what he has to do. Finally, there are two categories of Kenyans I'd like you to address. The first category of Kenyans are the Kenyans who are telling you you have done your bit, and Kenyans are not listening to you, especially on the cost of living. And when you said that there will be a new strategy, they started saying, Baba, just let us deal with this. That's a group of Kenyans who want to hear from you. What are you telling them? And second, are these Kenyans who are increasingly living in hopelessness because of the high cost of living, and something that you have been fighting for in the last year? So perhaps talk to those two groups of people.
Well, Kenyans are very resilient people. They've gone through some very bad times and managed. I'm confident that Kenyans will manage. I know that we are going through a period that calls for perseverance and patience. I know that sometimes patience is running out, but my plea would be, let them continue to keep hope alive. There are those who say I should let them go and do whatever they want to do. I don't want to be restraining people, because I don't own Kenya. Kenyans are free, independent people, and Kenyans, in my view, are also very patient people. They can tolerate a lot. I know that in the situations where these things that are happening right now would have led to a people's revolution. But we say that we do things the Kenyan way, and let's do it the Kenyan way.
Okay.
I don't want to prejudge the outcome of these talks which are ongoing. I don't want to give hope also that something very huge will come out of it. But let us wait and see,
Okay.
in my view.
Okay. The last people are the people who are saying, you have done your bits, Kenyans are not listening to you, let Kenyans suffer, stop fighting for them. Stop fighting.
See,
that.
I mean, other people will actually take over when I leave. And but I have not even been bothered myself. I'm here. I do what I think is a historical duty.
Okay.
To do, but time is going to come when I will say that let other Kenyans also do it.
For now, you will do your bit.
So now I'm with Kenyans, but yeah, for now I'll be with Kenyans.
Okay. A good place to end the conversation. Thank you so much, Raila Odinga, for speaking to us. And as always, it's a pleasure you hosting us and having these conversations. And that's how Kenya moves forward. So thank you very much also for watching. We do this again whenever we have an opportunity. My name is Ken Mijungu. Enjoy the rest of the viewing.